Welcome to the Candace's Pack Dog Rescue Show with your host, JP Mendoza.
Thank you very much, Taniya. Feedback of the week comes from my good friend Tiffany. She's a listener of the show, and she sent me a message to tell me that she enjoys the show, even though that she is not a dog trainer. That's a huge compliment. I love that. I try to make the show for everyone. If you don't know anything about dogs, if you're just a dog lover, dog trainer, I'm hoping everybody can learn something here on the Candace's Pack Dog Rescue Show. She also told me that she used to live in Taiwan and noticed that the dogs there are calmer than the dogs here in the US, even though the people there are busier. I love that observation. That is awesome. It's just another great example of how calm energy is the way to go. And it also reminds me of what Caesar says. He says that dogs in Mexico are skinny and calm, and dogs here in America are fat, and he gets to have a TV show. If you have any feedback for me, you can send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. You can also send me an email, cpackdogrescue@gmail.com. Also, please leave a review on the Apple Podcast app if you use that to listen to the show. You know, I thought I was original when I came up with the dog psychology-based rescue and rehab idea until I met Lisa Chiarelli of Frankie, Lola, and Friends Dog Rescue. She's been doing this for years. She has a heart of gold. I just knew I had to have her on the show. I'm also really lucky that I get to pick her brain. Please welcome Lisa Chiarelli. Lisa Chiarelli from Frankie, Lola, and Friends Dog Rescue. How are you doing, Lisa?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I really appreciate the time. You're a very in-demand, busy woman. So again, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
I guess we should start off by explaining how we met. We met at the Lucas Agnew workshop. That was back in October. And that's Sherry Wolf Lucas, for anybody listening, and Brian Agnew. And was that your first workshop, Lisa?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
But Sherry's the best of the best. And just from rescuing. Okay. So like a little history about me is I was raised with pit bulls. I got my first pit bull when I was 12 years old. My sister, had a couple of dogs and they were pit bulls, and that's a long time ago. We won't disclose my age, but I've had pit bulls for so long, and I didn't even understand until I became an adult. Like, what do you mean these dogs have a bad reputation? Like, they've been loving family dogs who sleep at the foot of my bed, who've been great with the babies. And I was like, this is so ridiculous. Like, I am going to make it my life's mission to change the public's perception about this breed and to raise positive awareness for pit bulls. So that's kind of how it started. And then I've had a handful of pit bulls through my life. And I, of course, like with anything in life, you make mistakes and you learn from them. So I love the breed, but I think back to stuff that I did 15, 20 years ago that behaviorally, I was very innocently doing something to contribute to the dog's behavior that I didn't want, like elevated level of excitement, nurturing that. So, I'm a rescuer. I mainly do a lot of street rescue. I rescue from the shelter, but based on having pit bulls for decades, you learn. Like, I'm not a trainer. I don't know. I didn't go to school, but I do my own training, and I do have different trainers around that I will use for different behavioral issues, mainly because I have a full-time job and I don't have the time, but I will do my own basic training. But I just became like I'm a really spiritual person and I love human behavior. I got really curious about why I have triggers and my emotions and what, and then I just really became a dog behavior nerd. I love dog behavior, which is so different from obedience training, right? So sure. I love it. And I don't even know how I discovered Sherry, but I'm not like, honestly, I don't, you can probably not, I don't know if you want to this doesn't sound nice, so I don't know if I want you to put this in, but I can't learn things from beginning or intermediate dog trainers. I want to go to the best of the best because, that's
Lisa,
where I'm at. So
I agree, Lisa. I agree 100%. I mean, there's a reason why we're drawn to people who do things at an excellence level, right? Yeah. I mean, we want to see, we were talking off air a little bit. You mentioned that your background is in boxing. And I love that you said that because I'm starting to get to know people that I met from the workshop a little bit more on a personal level. Mm-hmm. So I like to find things that I have in common with whoever I'm speaking with on the show. And you said that you were boxing. I never boxed professionally, but I've been training boxing probably 6 or 7 years now, and I love it. It's such a great workout, and it doesn't surprise me that you're into boxing because you look like a superhero. you're
I love it. Thank you. Yeah. Hitting mitts is fun, and when you can find a good trainer who knows how to hold mitts, it's
I know what you mean, and it's not easy to find. It's not easy to find. Mm-hmm. I remember in my boxing class, you'd have those new people that would come in, and you didn't really want to be paired with them because you knew they weren't going to be very good mitt holders, and you had to kind of coach them through it. So and it kind of affected your workout. But anyways, when I was at the workshop and I found that you were in rescue, I was so excited to meet someone else that was in rescue, because my intention wasn't to go somewhere and just mingle with a bunch of trainers. I wanted to learn to be more comfortable around different dogs that are not my own dogs, and I needed to be exposed to more dogs. So I knew of Sherry through the Dog Whisperer show, and
isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Which is crazy because No, go ahead.
One thing that I didn't say is, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. I learned like everything I know from watching every single Dog Whisperer episode twice. And I don't remember seeing Sherry. I don't even know, but I'm sure I did, and I didn't know it at the time. That's when I really learned, I'm really making some mistakes with my dogs.
Sure.
And the handout that Sherry gave us in the little folder? Yes. I literally just scanned the first 5 pages of that, and I'm giving it to everybody because I end up harping. I'm really strict. My application to adopt my dogs is 6 pages. I mean, there's 2 interviews, home checks, super strict. And I tell people no all the time. And, but it's you can't control what everybody does, but you have to have good leadership, whether I'm adopting out a pit bull or a chihuahua. If your dog doesn't respect you as the pack leader, you're powerless over your dog. So I'm just it gets redundant kind of making the same speech. So now I told Sherry, I'm hey, just so you know, because I'm in contact with her quite a bit. And I said, just so you know, I'm handing out your 5-page, handout that you gave us, but it's, the only perspective that matters is the perspective from the dog, right? I mean, people humanize the dog all the time. So it's,
This is another reason why I was excited to talk to you, because I obviously am a new person in this adventure, right? And I had to figure out and learn everything from scratch. I didn't know a lot of people in the dog world before I went to the workshop. I had a whole bunch of ideas, but I didn't have anybody to bounce those ideas off of. So you mentioned your adoption contract and things like that. First of all, before we get into that, because I do have those kinds of questions, how did Frankie, Lola, and friends come about? How did you decide to go into
I just have to tell you, we are going to need 3 of these because number one, I could talk about dog behavior. I love it.
Me too.
I love dog behavior. And in fact, I was just stumped I've had 3 dogs returned in 10 years, like, because I'm so careful. And
Sure.
I just had a pit bull returned.
Oh, wow.
And so she went out to my trainer, who is a highly skilled trainer, like to board and train, so we could really figure out what's happening. Because
Sure.
when I pull a pit bull from the shelter, I do my homework. Even though I love pit bulls, I first of all, I'm a very small rescue. And so I, as a general rule, cannot take human aggressive or dog aggressive dogs into my rescue. Now, does
Sure.
that happen sometimes? Yes. And I will never give up on them. It's your duty as a rescuer to never stick that dog in boarding for life. We
Right.
want to make sure it's not a danger to society, but you can't just, okay, the dog's not working out. The dog is growling at this person or attacking this dog. Let's bring it back to the shelter. No, when you have assumed responsibility as a rescue for that dog, you cannot fail that dog. That dog has already been failed once. That's why it's in the shelter. Pet ownership's a lifetime commitment. So, and then I lost my train of thought, so I don't even know what I was saying.
Oh, no,
but
that's okay.
There's a whole process for me pulling dogs from the shelter. I'm happy to get into that with you, because it's very careful and meticulous.
Oh yeah, I would love to explore that, and I think you're so right. We are going to need about 3 of these, but I want to get some of the nutshell things. First, we should probably address that. Just for anybody who's listening that isn't familiar so much with dogs, the reason why we're talking about pit bulls in this way is that it's not so much the breed. It's not the breed that's the problem. It's the fact that they were bred for certain purposes, right, Lisa? And people don't really understand that, and they don't understand that the breed can be an intense breed, and they're not for everybody. So you have to be selective on who gets these dogs, and you also have to be selective on which pit bulls you're choosing to rescue from those shelters.
Yeah, it's quality dog for quality owners. It's never first come, first serve. It is matching. I want to make sure that I'm finding the right dog for that family or that person, and the right family for the dog. So it's all about the fit. So if you're not an active person, you're not, and obviously, pit bulls are they're very strong. And so we want to make sure that their needs are fulfilled. And regardless of the breed, every dog has their genetic disposition. Right. In terms of, are they more hardwired to their pit bull genetics? Are they low, mid, high level energy? Right. Do they need, again, doesn't matter, Chihuahua, pit bull, leadership, period. I mean, it is a dog whisperer. It's like exercise, discipline, affection, rules, boundaries, limitations. You can Sherry talks a lot about unearned affection. I give my dogs a lot of affection. Right now, they're seniors, 0 rules. Right now, nothing, but 0 behavioral issues, right? You don't want to create, they have 0 behavioral issues. So you can give your dog a lot of love and affection and give them boundaries and structure. And that's the most important thing.
Yes. I've never heard of behavioral issues being fixed with affection. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you really lucked out, by the way, to go to Sherry's workshop. Out of everybody, Sherry's workshop out of the gate, because she's the best.
Yes, and Lisa, I left after those 3 days. I felt so much more enlightened. I learned so much. It was crazy, especially for being the first workshop. And but I have to say, probably my favorite part of the whole workshop experience was meeting and networking with everybody. And
Roxy, who's in the best home ever.
Yes, I was going to try to get to her as well.
we
Roxy,
have a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of material here, but Roxy, in a nutshell, I went to the workshop because I didn't want to travel with my dog across country, so I was assigned a dog, and Sherry gives me Roxy, who was a client dog, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa. Roxy's so-called issue was that she had anxiety, right? She was getting attacked by the other dogs, and she but the owners for some reason thought she was the problem.
I don't think so. The owners are so lovely. They supported this if you look on their Instagram, she's all over their Instagram. It was particularly for the woman who I knew, who I know, because she knew that she had to do the right thing. So it was very upsetting for her to have to rehome Roxy. But Roxy did have anxiety from 2 shepherds that were in the house who weren't, to our, point, given appropriate leadership, rules, boundary structure, exercise. Right. And so as a result, they kind of ruled the roost, and they were attacking Roxy. And as a result of the attacks, she did have anxiety. So even when I brought her to my house with my mellow pack, she was nervous until we settled in. So it was about finding her the right home, the right fit. Yeah. But her family, and unfortunately it was not going to work there.
And I commend Roxy's former owners for realizing that they weren't the right fits, because a lot of people, they're hard-headed. They don't want to believe that they may be the problem, or that they can't make it work, or it's just not the right situation. And Roxy ended up being rehomed by you.
Yes.
Through your organization, which is awesome. Before that, though, I left, and Gons from Toronto. Mm-hmm. He stayed with Sherry for some private training, and Roxy was Gons's dog for about a week. So Roxy had a lot of good one-on-one time with quite a few good people before she.
I watched you work with her and watched him work with her, and I could tell she was a good dog. So when Sherry told us all of Roxy's story, I approached her, and Sherry and I do have a couple of mutual friends in common, but you have to be careful in the rescue community, because I don't do business with anybody who doesn't share my level of integrity when it comes to the dogs. Right. And that can differ vastly in rescue. And, you never lose sight of it's about the dog. So I just approached her on one of our pack walks. There's so much going on. She's trying, and I'm like, hey, my name's Lisa. I run my own rescue. I can take her to rescue. I'll personally foster her, which I usually don't do. But it's Sherry. I saw she needed help. And Roxy is like, it's dogs like that. I want people to know that you can get a perfectly adoptable family pit bull from your local shelter or when you rescue. So Roxy's in a home with kitty cats, another dog, and children. And I would never,
Roxy was she's a big, mellow sweetheart. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I remember really was, I guess her anxiety was getting the best of her when we had to put her in the outdoor kennels for the classroom instructions. So she's seeing everything going on.
She was outside. Also feeding off those dogs on both sides. Remember, it's so interesting how energy can really bleed over to the other dogs.
Right. And speaking of energy, I wanted to mention earlier that basically what you were describing is the importance of matching the energy from with dog and owner. So a lot of people make a mistake of getting a dog that does not fit their own energy or their family's energy or the household energy, and it's a shame, because this is how a lot of dogs end up being given up in the first place.
Yeah,
But how did you go about figuring out the requirements that you wanted to put in place for a potential adopter? Because it's something that I've researched and kind of been struggling, and I haven't gotten to that point yet. But I wanted to pick your brain about this.
I actually, my knee-jerk reaction is, I don't know, but I don't. I'm trying, because I have to access my brain files.
Okay, because you said your application was 6 pages long. Mm-hmm. Did you?
I don't want to say a lot of it is trial and error, because you can't make too many errors when it comes to an animal.
Right.
You see certain things along the way that maybe didn't work well, and that you want to fine tune it. For example, I'm always fine tuning my application or my interview process, and I have it down. If you want to know, I have 5 requirements when it comes to puppies. And it's not that I won't adopt anybody who lives in an apartment. I think that that's people who live in an apartment deserve to have a dog also, right? But it's about matching. Like, please go adopt a senior from the shelter. They need our help the most. It's everybody wants a puppy, right? Or
Right.
even a pit bull who's low energy, or a pit bull who's high energy, as long as you're active. But so I don't even know if you want to say this, but I have 5 requirements. It's a house with a yard, not super long work hours, an ability to keep the puppy socialized with other dogs, a commitment to puppy training, and good leadership. I just had a meet and greet. I don't even know if you want to put this in there, but it was, I don't know if you saw the story about the 5 dogs in South Central that were starved.
I believe, yes, I did.
Okay, so one of the puppies, yeah. So I had a beautiful couple. They checked all the boxes. They came over with their dog to meet one of the puppies. And if it was first come, first serve, they would have gotten that dog. But no way. Their dog had huge behavioral issues, and it was only a matter of time before the little puppy would have picked up on that. So I referred them to a beer, and they're going to visit because they're in that area. Like I try to, Yeah. So, but that dog was, and they knew it, but it's little nuances. Like Sherry says, it's little nuances at home that show up on the walk, that show up with other dogs, that show up on the leash. So, that dog was just, even when that dog was like barking, nonstop barking, the man was like, come here, it's okay, and petting the dog. And he doesn't know.
Big red flags.
Yeah, but he doesn't know, and we should educate.
Yes.
He didn't know.
I agree 100%. I mean, it's in my mission statement part of my mission statement is to educate, because how do you help stop the cycle of dogs being ending up back in a shelter system or being returned to a rescue? You have to educate.
It's in my contract that you're never allowed to. There's a right of you can't assign my dog. They always come back to me. But
yes,
and I'll get back to your question if you want. Sorry about the. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask because you mentioned that you had a lot of strict requirements and that you have to observe how they're living with if there's already a dog in the home, and then if you see red flags, you point them out and you educate. I'm just wondering, do people ever get offended because what you're telling them is just not what they want to hear?
Yeah, but I will say I was just talking to my friend Carla, who's my top foster. Because she understands dog behavior. Like she took the starving mom from me, and the mom was gorging food and then vomiting her food and all over the yard, and then protecting it and trying to attack other dogs. Like, she knows that that's going to go away once the dog knows that her food source is continuous. So she really knows dog behavior, and I appreciate that so much. Like, she'll take mom and puppies, and some people would be like, oh, I can't take, she's doing this, but she knows enough that it's like, all right, let's let her know that the food source will always be there. Yes. I mean, I have people, there was just somebody who wrote on comments, fuck you to me. So
yeah,
listen, I don't, I will say 95% of people are kind and gracious, and it really makes me feel good that they're hearing me, because they want what's best for the dog. And I don't know did you see those 2 seniors that were at Sherry's?
I did. Yes, I did.
So I just found them a home, but through the Dodo, and I probably got like 80 applications, 80 inquiries, and 2 were okay, but I had to tell 78 people no, and they were all nice.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, no kitties, or, I mean, I don't know that I had communication with all of them. Like, sometimes they just don't respond, but yeah, I do get, sometimes I do have people get mad at me, but it's far and few in between. And as long as my intentions are pure about the animal, I'm okay with it. It does, for a second, it's like, oh, but I don't stay stuck on it.
When we were trying to set this interview up, you said something to me that it was kind of like a reminder of a sad reality, right? So in any industry, there's always going to be people that criticize. You can never do anything right. You can never make everybody happy. And you mentioned that people in the rescue business can be pretty brutal, pretty heartless. Which one is that, Frankie or Lola?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening out there. But you can leave that in that. That's Frankie, but Lola just ran.
This is a dog show. Of course I'm going to leave it in. So my question to you, Lisa, is how, basically, what am I getting myself into? Because I know I'm going to receive criticism at some point. How do you deal with it? What are some of the things I should watch out for, and maybe some things that I should just expect is going to happen?
Okay, I'll tell you my golden rule, because sometimes, once in a while, I'm like, gosh, am I doing something wrong? You know, or did I hurt somebody's feelings, or should I have picked that home? And I just, when confusion clouds my mind, I strip it down and I think about the dog. Like, if you think about the dog and you keep your intentions pure, only about the dog, because I will tell you, I've seen it and it's easy to do, but if people get hooked on likes and comments and followers, it just can't be about that. Of course, we all want followers so we could have a larger platform, so we could raise awareness, so we could fundraise. I'm a fool to say that that's not important. It is important. But what is your intention behind it? Is it for you to get attention, or is it about the animal? And I have not tried to grow my rescue. I don't even know how I'm here, other than keeping my frequency high and my intentions pure and making it about the animal. Frankie, shh. I'm not saying, of course, human beings love admiration for their hard work, and we should get that, right? But there is a fine line. People really love those YouTube views or those Facebook likes or those followers. And it's what we do behind the scenes that really matters, you know, like, I don't want to, because if I criticize, then I'm doing the very thing that I don't want to do. But I want to take the mama dogs and the pit bulls and the throwaway dogs that nobody wants. Of course, I'm getting 2 puppies tonight, like, that are with my foster. They're from Bakersfield, but I'm not just going to do puppies and white fluffies and easy to adopt. My heart is with pit bulls. I think they're the best breed, and I will admittedly say I am biased. I love pit bulls. Okay, like, you can for sure, yeah. Like,
it's a good thing to be biased of.
I mean, I didn't set out to get the most controversial breed. I had them since I was 11 or 12, and they're magnificent, you know, and I see the power of them, but they're so loving and so amazing. And when you fulfill their needs, you've got this great family dog. They're not for everybody if you're soft, you know, but Chihuahuas can be. I've only been bitten by a Chihuahua. So
yeah, I say it to people all the time. When a pit bull bites somebody, it's the 10 o'clock news or 11 o'clock news. When a Chihuahua bites somebody, nobody ever hears about it. And that's just a Chihuahua. He's cute. It's okay. You know, it's crazy.
So the other piece of advice I wanted to give you, because it is important, is it's like with anything. It's just like with a celebrity can do 99 things right and 1 thing wrong, and they're vilified, right? So
right.
As long as you at the end of the day are comfortable that you've made the right decision in the best interest of that animal, you have to learn to let go of what people say. Because let's be honest, when people do criticize, I just kind of ask myself, like, I wonder what happened to them that
right.
They feel so bad about themselves that they have to criticize me. You know, I mean, again, this is such a loaded answer, because, and then they call, I don't know what they call them, what, keyboard crusaders or whatever, but people will criticize you, online, but would they do that to your face? So I will say I keep my circle small. Both those things I told you, frequency high, intentions pure. I make it about the animal. And another huge thing for me, JP, is again, with anything in life, people think that their way is the only way, and there's not just one way. And it's really, even if you don't agree with somebody, let them do their thing without judging and without criticizing. As long as the animal's not getting hurt, they have a right to do what they want. There's not one way. And so, and for me, I can't, because I have a full-time job. I do CrossFit full-time. I can't lose balance, because if I'm going to rescue and enjoy it, I have to keep my numbers low and to keep that quality so high. So, but remember,
that's golden advice, Lisa. Thank you very much for that. I mean, that's going to be the best part of it. Like that is like, honestly, don't fucking listen to people, because when people criticize you, it's, as long as you at the end of the day feel good, it's their own issue, right? So Lisa, you mentioned that you mentioned the Dodo earlier. I think just for people listening, the Dodo is a website that features compelling stories about amazing people, and their intention is to bring attention to the proper care and welfare of animals. That's pretty much.
I think
right?
heartwarming little animal videos that are just cute.
Right. And you have been on the Dodo a total of 3 times featured? Well, I have.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I have the 2 videos that I want to mention for people to look up. There's one on YouTube called "Woman is Determined to Reunite Stray Dog with Her Puppies." And that was a dog that, well, you tell the story, Lisa. You, what do you remember most about that street rescue? What was
so cool is that woman found me. It was a woman who lived in an area where there's a lot of street dogs, and there was a mom and puppies living in bushes in the alley behind her house. But for me, the really cool thing about this is that she found me through another Dodo rescue video about this black pit bull named Xena that took me 4 weeks to catch.
I was going to mention that one too.
Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, I would look at her and I'd be like, you are intense. What am I going to do with you when I find you? Like, please be a nice dog, because then I have another issue to deal with. She's an amazing dog and at home with kids, but honestly, like I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to the universe. I am, nothing new comes into our life without gratitude. And I just want to be grateful, because man, I lucked out. But So Xena, the black pit bull, really is in charge of saving Mama Rue, who was Mama Alice before, and those 4 babies.
So Xena, sorry to cut you off there, Lisa, but Xena is in another Dodo video, and that, if anybody wants to look that up, is titled "Woman Spends 3 Weeks," or "Woman Spends Weeks Trying to Save Stray Dog," and I just want to. Well, you know what? Let's go back to the first one I mentioned, the stray dog with her puppies.
Yeah.
I noticed in the video, because I watched both of them, and you had to socialize the mom dog to humans, and you said that you brought her into your home, and then you had friends come over, right? Mm-hmm. My question is, what were the rules you set in place for your friends that came over? Because if anybody, for people who are listening, and if they're familiar, when you're trying to socialize a dog, you have to prepare the humans for the interactions, because you don't want the humans to just shower that dog with complete, total excitement.
Well, I mean, and really to confuse people who might be listening to this, is some dogs really do need affection, like Xena. Okay. She opened up, the black pit bull, she really opened up with, this is so confusing, don't even put that, but baby talk. Like baby talk is how she came alive. So really? We did that that we did that intermittently. And then, you know, but that's what kind of like brought her out of her shell. That's why there's never one way, you know.
I was just going to say, this is a classic example of how you can't say any concrete statements like, oh, never baby talk your dog. It's not never baby talk your dog. It's, first of all, what dog? It depends on the dog. And what time are you doing it? Like there's a time for everything.
And this dog was like attacked by coyotes. Like
oh, wow.
Like she wanted it. She wanted she wanted the affection. But so I'm trying to think back, because I remember I had just gotten back from Costa Rica the night before, and I was headed to the gym, and this woman's like, there's a dog. And I was like, okay, I'll be right there. And I plugged it in, and it was like an hour to get there. And I scooped up the babies, and I couldn't get the mom, but
right.
And then and the babies were like, if the babies were 2 weeks younger, I would have had a real situation, because the babies could not have been away from mom. But these babies were about 5 weeks, and they were, I could feed them real food, and I couldn't put these babies back in this like bush where there's heavy traffic and in this horrible neighborhood. But so the rules that I gave to my guests, well, as you know, you don't want to encroach too much into a dog's space.
Right.
Especially when they're being protective over their puppies. So we, in this case, because I had already assessed Mama's behavior for a couple of days before some friends came over, but in this case, we just let Mom see the people interact with her puppies to see that the people were nice. But we let Mama Roo kind of do everything on her own terms. And a lot of times when I bring an insecure dog into my house, I ignore them for 2 days. I just ignore them, you know, and I let them just watch my dogs interact with me. And then they're like, oh, she could be trusted. Those dogs trust her. So my dogs do more rehabilitating than I do. I don't ever shower with love. I don't want to say ever, because I do. But it's just everybody. I mean, I don't even know if you want to say this, but like I literally had I call it a bar fight with the Chihuahua for 20 minutes straight. She wanted to kill me. And because I didn't back off,
right,
she was my BFF and trusted me forever. But it was because that little dog, for the first 5 months of its life, saw that this behavior got her what she wanted, but it wasn't going to work with me. So
right. So for people listening that just want to know a little bit more of the dog psychology side, dogs learn by the reactions of their actions. So if that dog was used to barking and or lunging, and people back away from the dog, they learn that this works. Oh, I'm just going to bark every time. And because you didn't back away, it didn't work on you. She had no more power. She had no more tools. She didn't know what else to do. So she just basically, I'm assuming, I mean, I wasn't there, but she kind of calmed down and said, okay, let's see what this lady's going to do, because I can't do anything from here.
Well, she just, I mean, dogs are always just really reacting, right? So she was reacting to the situation I was putting her in, and she was scared, and she reacted out of fear, but she knew that I wasn't going to hurt her. So
right. One thing I noticed, being a former, I used to be in a TV production, so I noticed in the video that the story was shot so well. Even though you guys use a bunch of like cell phone videos.
It's just iPhone videos.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you normally just document what you do when you go out on a street rescue? Just in case?
I'm going to tell you exactly how that happened, which is so funny.
Okay.
I'm not on, social media is a little double-edged sword. It's I don't, it's a little bit of the cesspool of humanity. It can be. So I'm not on Facebook much, just to check my gym workouts, but I'm on Instagram, and I always make a ton of stories, Instagram stories, right?
Right.
So that's my thing. I make a bunch of Instagram stories. And so I was just with whatever, whether it's like dog stuff or workout stuff or desserts, those are my main things. So the rescue location was fairly close to my house, and I would just make a story. Okay, I'm going to check on her today. I'm going to check on her. I had already named her because she was like such a warrior. And I think Instagram stories are only 20 seconds. And so just like a bunch of 20-second videos. And and I just did it for like, I think it was closer to 4 weeks without the intention of anything ever, just having little video clips in my phone. In fact, I'm sure I don't have many of them saved because they were stories and they disappear in 24 hours. So I just thought of something that I know you want this to be contiguous, but I'll tell you something after.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So Lisa, in the video with Xena, again, if somebody wants to find it, it's a woman spends weeks trying to save stray dog. I saw it, and I like to look at these things from a dog psychology perspective. And what I
wanted to finish telling you though about how I met this woman.
Okay.
Or do you want me to tell? Okay, so like sure. I met this woman through CrossFit, and well, they contacted me. Hey, the Dodo contacted me, and they saw a little clip of Lola, and they're like, hey, can we put Lola into our pajama video? And I said, sure. And then I got to talking to her, and we had CrossFit in common. And then I said, oh, I used to work with another organization who kind of recorded their videos. And so anyway, so I just told her about Xena, told her the story, and I said, I'll just text you some of the videos. And then she wrote back right away. And she's like, I would love to do a story about her on our Faith Restored chapter, or so you can find her under Faith Restored. But it was just kind of cool. I'm like, okay, I don't think that you can use them because I'm dropping the F-bomb and they're like shitty iPhone quality, and I'm talking to myself half the time, but here you go. And so she's a video editor at the Dodo, and she did an amazing job. Yeah, like an amazing job.
I appreciated it because, like I said, I have experience editing videos. So when I was watching this, I kind of watched it through a different set of eyes, if you will.
Yeah. So and, like from iPhone, right? She did a great job.
Yeah. And I know all about turning a bunch of crap into gold. If you have a bunch of crappy cell phone videos, you got to just do the best you can. But it's very compelling. The funniest thing, because you said that you were talking to yourself most of the time. The funniest thing that you said when you were trying to get the dog into your car, you said just get in my car, okay? Which is so hilarious because you're like on a back alley street somewhere, and that would totally not be appropriate in any other situation.
Right. And I actually again, there's no one way. I did a bunch of no-nos that I wouldn't do with training a dog from scratch in that video. If you see like me elevating level of excitement, letting her jump on me and give me kisses. But honestly, I welcomed that so much from seeing where she came. Like she needed to that's what she needed at the time. And then even when I sent her to, so that I used a trainer that specializes in like broken hearts, right? Like she needed to really just start. It was a friend of mine who does board and train at her house. Her numbers are very low, and we needed to build Xena's confidence. And again, she's got a great balanced pack of dogs, and I went to visit her, and she just came alive with a little bit of baby talk. So I actually don't really encourage baby talk, but with her.
Sure, of course. And we should mention that she was a pure street dog. Like you were trying to just get close to her for the first few days. You tried to lure her, and that didn't work. So you had to end up setting a trap.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But we should mention, because like I said, I was trying to see this from a dog psychology perspective. So you tried to establish trust in the first couple of days. The dog has no idea who you are, and she's a street dog, so she's got to be very careful for survival. And then you ended up setting the trap because you couldn't get any closer. You couldn't really get that close to her, but the trap failed.
Yeah.
And she associated you with that experience of almost getting trapped at or either that or the trap door.
Oh, well, we regressed. Yeah, we regressed big time.
Yes.
There's so much more to that video than in that 7-minute video, but
oh, really?
And oh yeah. Well, okay. So first of all, when you fail with a trap, your odds of getting that dog, you almost can never get that dog because that dog is never going to go on that trap again. Right.
Sure.
Like
right.
Never, ever, ever, ever. So I tried days, no way. So I talked to the people in that area. And what I did was I got a longer trap and I went to Home Depot, and I know this is a little bit of it in the video, but I chained the trap to the tree so nobody could take it, because this is like a $600 trap.
Yeah.
And I chained it to the tree, and I would never, ever, ever. It was luckily because it's a desolate kind of primitive location. This again isn't in the video because they had to condense it, but I lifted up both sides like of the trap with bungee cord. So her only source of food is going to be inside that trap. Her only source of food. She would get tricky. I'd put a blanket on there and she would pull the blanket out with her food. The blanket would be down the hill, but I fed her in that trap with both ends open for 7 days. So she could see for 7 days, nothing bad happened. Then next step is, let me shut one side of the trap. I'm going to feed you inside that trap, your only source of food. I'm going to feed you there for 7 days without anything bad happening. Then on, 22 days later, I was like, I'm going to try to get her today because she has been eating in there. Nothing bad has happened. And I put like pastrami and chicken and all the stuff you're not supposed to feed a dog. But of course I'm going to do that on her, on this day. And then you saw her, like she went in, but if I would have done it so I had to get a bigger trap. But if I would have done it the next day, no way. We had to establish a behavior, a feeding station, a pattern with nothing bad happening. She hated me still, like until, of course, I met, like she would see me and just run. She did not associate me with food. She did not associate me with the trap. I would just go feed like canned food and the best shit. And I put it in that trap 3 times a day. So it's like, oh, this is where your good stuff is, so that actually is just the best part of the whole story is like, cause I've trapped a lot of dogs, and a lot of times you don't have you don't want to leave that trap unattended, but because of the location, I could hide it and it was unattended. And then I would never set it without being right there, because you don't ever want a dog trapped in there. So it was, I really like that because it's just, you usually you don't catch a dog, after you failed ever. I've never have.
Lisa, your heart and determination is truly inspiring. I know we're running out of time. Yeah. I have 3
questions. Oh yeah.
I have 3 questions for you that I like to ask at the end of every interview, and I sort of tweaked it because this is more of a rescue themed conversation, right? So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and if you could just rapid fire answer them for me. That's kind of how this part works. I hope
it's going to be easy, but okay, go ahead.
It's going to be super easy. What's the one thing you wish dog adopters would understand?
That you can give your dog love and leadership.
What is the one thing you wish dog rescuers would understand?
That there's more than one way, and be kind to others.
And this is one of my favorite questions because it's sort of like a pay it forward type of thing. Is there anyone you personally know in the dog rescue world or dog training world that you think deserves more recognition, or maybe somebody that I should have on the show and say, Lisa sent me?
I think that you should have Carla Boss, my foster, because she's just not my foster. She does the hard part, and she enjoys it. She is a quality foster who understands dog behavior. She fosters for me. She fosters for Deity Rescue. She fosters for A Purposeful. She fosters for Little Red Dog. These are all high quality rescues, and we all love her. And I went to Downey. A couple of months ago, I actually think it was August. I was on, this is a whole other topic, but a dog caught my eye. There's so many dogs, right? But I couldn't get this dog out of my head. And he's a 12-year-old who had everything wrong with him down at Downey. And I was like, Carla, there's this dog. And she's like, go get him and bring him here. Like,
wow.
I need that. Like, she's safe. And now he's in the best home with kids. And he has cut ears. He looks so mean. He still had all of his manhood after 12 years. But she knows her shit, and fostering saves lives. And other than fundraising, quality fosters is the biggest commodity.
Well, I love that idea, Lisa. I hadn't given it thought to feature a foster on the show, but
I was going to bring that up to you. Yeah, I was going to bring that up to you after.
Oh, great. I love that idea. Thank you so much, Lisa Chiarelli from Frankie, Lola, and Friends. Find her on Instagram. She has awesome content. Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Lisa, for being on the show. Guys, if you want to check out the Dodo videos, I have linked them in the show notes on your podcast app. Also, please donate. Please support Frankie, Lola, and Friends Dog Rescue. The website is frankielolaandfriends.com. You can also check out her Instagram page at Lisa Chiarelli, spelled Chiarelli. And also from Lisa and me, please spay and neuter your dogs.
Thank you for listening to the Candace's Pack Dog Rescue Show. For news updates and training tips, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us at Candace's Pack Dog Rescue. If you would like to support the rescue, please visit our website at cpackdogrescue.org. For questions and comments, you can contact us at cpackdogrescue@gmail.com. And if you like the show, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your podcast app.